Oh, it's supposed to cool down the rest of the week, but I don't think it's supposed to be terrible though.
Yeah, I wonder if the poor little kids for trick or treating are gonna get snow like they always seem to.
Do they?
I don't know. It seems like a lot of Halloweens get the weather. I don't know. Who knows, right? I wonder what the stats on that are. But I remember a few Halloweens where it was like sleet and snow, and
Hmm.
I felt sorry for the little kids out trick or treating.
I thought you meant when you were a kid.
Uh, well, I don't remember too much about that. The Halloween I remember the best was we were living at Great Lakes. I was, I think, third grade maybe, so 8 or 9. Isn't that kind of like the zenith of childhood when you're 8 or 9? It's like you're still a kid, but you're old enough to kind of do stuff without your folks, you know.
Hmm.
I mean, you don't get into all that pre-adolescent stuff that messes up your life. you're you're still a kid
Yeah.
anyway. And I went
Always-
I went as Huck Finn, and my best friend went as Tom Sawyer, and we were out the whole night trick-or-treating. We had so much fun, but I think we froze our asses off.
Did you stay on base?
What?
Did you stay on base?
Yeah, we stayed on base. So it was a different universe then too.
Yeah, I was watching some one of my true crime murder shows last night. It was actually on the forgot what they called him. He was a in LA in the 70s, a serial killer.
Not Charles Manson.
No.
Who was the one they got they keep showing that movie over and over again, the one about Squeaky Fromm and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or something like that. Was that Charles Manson?
Well,
He had the
sort
cult,
of.
and he went in and he killed, and he murdered he and his cult went in and murdered anyway.
Yeah. Well, this I forgot if he was like the highway something or something like that, but the one of the first he murdered young boys basically,
Oh,
but one of the first ones was a 12-year-old kid who was on his way to Disneyland, and but they were talking about like some of the people they were interviewing today, were talking about how that might seem really strange. There was a 12-year-old taking the bus to Disneyland, but they were saying at that time that was not unusual at all.
mhm,
And it
mhm.
does seem really weird now that, unless he
That a
was
12-year-old would be taken.
unless he was like a runaway or something, you wouldn't expect for
Well,
that to
I don't know. 12 is, come on, 12 is like seventh grade, right? I mean, you're not a baby.
bring across Los Angeles on your own on a bus by yourself to go to Disneyland.
I see kids on the CTA going to school with their
Yeah.
backpacks and stuff, right? Don't you? Well, I
Well,
haven't been on the
no, because I'm
CTA.
not on
Oh,
CTA in the mornings, but yeah, I don't know. To me, that's different too than what even that same kid getting on a series of buses to go to Navy Pier even or something seems
no,
weird.
I think that, well, I don't know. I don't know. Since COVID, everything has changed, but our next door neighbor, we lived in Ravenswood Manor, and the kid went to Kenwood Academy, and he took public trans down to Kenwood Academy. It took him over an hour every morning.
Yeah.
He had to be out the door like, and I don't know, Michelle Obama writes in her autobiography how she went to Whitney Young and
Mhm.
took public trans, and how she, it's kind of scary for her until she got used to it, and whatever. But she lived down in Jackson Highlands down there on South Shore,
Mhm.
and then they never went downtown. Downtown was just, but anyway,
We
yeah.
had when I worked on Michigan Avenue when I was first living here and worked for Cole Haan, we had stock kids that we hired through the DECA program
Mhm,
at Whitney Young, and
mhm.
we had one girl named Cheryl that worked with us there for like her whole high school career. And she lived far away from Whitney Young. And it took her like 2 trains and then 2 buses or whatever to get to school every day.
Mhm,
And of course, that's high school.
mhm,
She wasn't like elementary school or anything, it was high school.
mhm.
But when she came to work with us on Michigan Avenue, and that meant she had to take 2 more buses from school to work with us in the afternoon and then reverse it all to go home at night. It was pretty impressive. She was spending hours a day, hours and hours a day on public transportation just to go to school and back and did that, job.
Mhm.
And and was, maintaining grades and doing really well in school. But when she came to work with us on Michigan Avenue, she had never been downtown, never
Mhm.
seen Michigan Avenue, and it was pretty much like that with all of the kids that we worked with over those years. They had, never even seen. And I remember one weekend where it was like a Monday or Tuesday, she came into work and she had gone. This was like later in her high school career. She had gone with a friend and they went to the north side and they went to Century Mall,
Oh, sure.
for
Mhm.
Clark and Diversey, and that's back when it was really a mall and it had the theaters in there and all that stuff, or maybe even before the theaters. But uh she was just like starry-eyed and she had no idea that like these kind of areas existed, and
Hmm.
like talking about all the people in the shops and all that. It was really interesting to experience that through her. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, and Stump's family too, like they never
Left their
went
neighborhood.
in the city, never came in. They always tell the story about down in Oak Lawn on like Cicero Avenue. There's, I don't know, it's like maybe around 85th or 90th or something. It's where the Cicero Avenue goes up over the rail yards,
Right, sure, sure.
the bridge there.
Mhm.
And that they would all get ready. They'd be in the car and they all get ready because they could see downtown. And
Ah,
it was like, the Crystal City or whatever, Emerald City, the Wizard of Oz. And they'd all
The
get ready,
Emerald
get
City.
ready, get ready. We're about to see it. And they go over the hump and they could see it and they'd be like, wow. And but they never went into the city. And then Stump tells the story that when he was like 15, 16, and one of their buddies first got his driver's license and they all decided to go downtown. And then they drove in, he said they like 20 minutes they were there and they're like, oh, it's right here. They thought they were like on a road trip, to like go see the city and stuff. And they were all like, we had no idea it was right over here.
It's
Like
like
it's so
20 minutes
close.
away.
Yeah.
Well,
And
I
I
think
was,
from Oak Lawn, it would take longer than 20 minutes to get downtown, but,
yeah, well, I don't,
right?
but of course, that was back before the traffic days
Well,
too.
that's true. That's true.
Uh, but I always said like it always surprised me that so what didn't your friends' parents work in the city, or the dad did or the mom did, or like all especially back then all those people came in for the offices and stuff.
Mhm.
And he was like, no, we didn't know anybody whose parents, none of them worked in the city, nobody had anything to do with the city.
Hmm.
um
Well,
they were
maybe
all
they didn't have
that white
office
light.
jobs where was it more of a blue collar kind of area, like they worked in
Well, I guess
factories?
Oakland probably was, but even his dad was a banker, but he would work for Marquette Bank. His a lot of them were restaurateurs and stuff, and pretty successful in the
Hmm.
neighborhood. But it was
Mhm.
all South suburb restaurants. Like they didn't like they
Yeah.
were just disconnected to the whole like city.
Interesting. Huh. It really is interesting, right? And it's interesting how, I mean, it really is like two different cities, South Side
Yeah,
and North Side. It's I mean, North Siders don't go south and South Siders don't come north. And although I mean during the recession, you and I covered all of northern Illinois, I think.
yeah, right.
And I got to know the South Side at that, during the recession, really. Yeah, so you guys, I know Carl and his pals were all doing Halloween parties and did their costume parties this last weekend. And um, he's leaving for Salem. He's flying to Salem on Wednesday. they all got their shots so that they could all go to Salem for Halloween.
Do they do
Salem,
something,
Massachusetts, right? I guess.
something specific for Halloween?
What's that?
Does Salem do something specific for Halloween?
I'm not sure. I think so because apparently it's a big tour. It's turned into a big tourist thing, you know, because of the witch burnings, you know, blah blah blah, whatever. But
Or like a reenactment or something?
I don't actually know, but apparently it's a big thing, and they're expecting. I mean, they rented an Airbnb like I think back in May or April, something like. I mean, you know, his pals, they plan these trips like months in advance, and he bought his airfare and everything, and has been planning to go for quite some time. But it's a good thing. Apparently, it's a good thing they did that because I guess they're expecting really record turnouts because people haven't been since COVID, you know. So this is sort of the first Halloween that people are back, but they all got their boosters and they're all flu shots and they're all set to go and mingle. So,
That sounds like fun.
yeah, I think he's got, but the funny thing is they're all coming back Sunday, and of course Halloween is next Monday. Ooh. we're gonna be broadcasting on Halloween, Wes. Are you gonna get in costume?
No.
I'm going as a realtor. I'm going to dress up as a realtor. So what else is going on? I worked all weekend. It was a busy weekend, beautiful weekend.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah, did you get any time off, or did you work all weekend too?
Oh, I was mostly off, yeah. So
That's nice, yeah.
yeah.
I understand the feds are going to be raising the rates again. They've managed to really kind of kill our market, I think, huh?
Yeah, well, I guess that's what they're trying to do.
That's what they're trying to do. Although, I mean, well, we had Terrence on a couple weeks ago to talk about the buy down programs, and I think I don't know. I think buyers are looking to. I mean, the offers that I've heard coming in have come in very low. I mean, buyers are still making offers, but they're not afraid to make low offers. So it's a very different. And I'm telling my sellers, you know, don't tell them to go away. Come back with something, because this might be your only shot at getting it sold before the end of the year. And so yeah, so buyers are not shy about negotiating their price for sure. I don't know. I mean, I guess it is going to have we'll know in another couple of months what the impact is going to be on our prices, but I don't think prices are going to come down as much as people in the news seem to think they will be, because Chicago never really rebounded completely.
Yeah, I was gonna say, depending on where you are, but yeah, Chicago probably not. Yeah.
I mean, our prices never really completely rebounded from the recession. It's only been in the last year that we've actually caught up with pre-recession pricing. And when was that? I mean, we're talking over 10 years ago, right?
15, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's taken that long.
14,
So,
yeah.
but you know, I mean, to have a 4-point increase in your interest rate, that's not nothing either. So I think the buy down programs would be a nice way to bridge that. But anyway, we'll find out, I guess, huh? I mean, we're definitely into buyer season, no question about it. I mean, it's not, even though it's still technically a seller's market, the absorption rate is still, I think, around 2 or 3 months. There's just not a lot of inventory. And the rule of thumb, of course, is anytime you have 6 months or less inventory, it's a seller's market, which is, I think, why prices are going to hold. But it's definitely not the market we had in the spring. So I think it's a good, and who knows what's going to happen this spring. I mean, I don't know. I mean, typically spring is our best selling season and best season for sellers. But so I think now is a good time for buyers to get in and take advantage of this buy down program. And if the rates do come back down again, they can refinance free for nothing.
Yeah.
and still take advantage of the closing cost credit that the seller gave them.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be affecting the market here as much as what you would think or what you hear in all the media. Because like you said, our inventory is still low. Prices haven't really changed,
Mhm.
not very much anyway. They're just not continuing to go up or, sell way over list price or whatever. And
Mhm.
the market times have gotten longer, but not that much longer. So yeah, this doesn't seem to have quite the effect that everybody has thought it would, at least not at this point. So we'll have to see.
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking about a kind of a case study, if you will. A friend of ours that you and I know mutually owns a condo over in West Loop, and he bought that right at the peak of the market in the end of 2007, and he paid 400 for it, and he's now put it on the market. He's been on the market about a week. He put it on at 495. So, and he had an offer come in the first week. And I think the offer came in, because I'm not the listing agent, I'm not involved with the negotiations, but I think his offer came in like at around 440. And, and I told him, I said, he should definitely negotiate that because he'll probably end up somewhere in the middle. Um, but I mean, that's not a huge, I mean, considering he bought it at the peak, so it demonstrates, I think, what I'm saying about our pricing has just finally started to rebound from the recession.
Right.
I mean, it's taken that long, but yeah, I mean, considering that he's owned it, well, how many years is that? 15 years?
Mhm.
You know, so he's, and I think that's pretty typical, and it's West Loop. So it's interesting too, because the downtown area was much more impacted with COVID and the George Floyd. And you still have your condo over on Ontario that you're handling, right?
Mhm.
Are you
Yeah.
getting much activity on that, or what's happening with that?
No, not too much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I got to jump off. I realize I'm getting warnings that my computer's about to die. So I'm gonna
All
jump
right.
off.
Well, everybody have a good week. Enjoy your costume parties, and we'll see you on Halloween.
Bye.